Hello, how are we? It's a lovely Wednesday here, and I thought really this is going to verge. It's no business update, this is straight into something that's on my mind. And really, the reason I want to do this now is that I think it's going to inform what I actually write on LinkedIn about this topic, because I saw. Okay, so what really happened was I saw someone who by all means seems to run a fantastic agency, fantastic business in the creator economy, influencer space, whatever you want to call it. And they made a post about this, and then about literally 15 minutes later, I saw all the comments under it, and about 15 minutes later I saw someone who also runs, I suppose, a relatively, probably a medium-sized agency, and by that I mean, I think they have around 30-40 people. And they posted something quite the opposite to what the first person had said. And I'm not saying, I suppose it ties in exactly to what I spend my time working with founders on a lot, which is the role that they play within their agency, right? And this, to me, if you've ever had a conversation with me about your agency, or if you work with me, you'll know that this is, like, generally speaking, the first thing you speak to me about or work with me on. So you have your discovery. Almost always, it's one of the first sessions that it comes up in one of the first sessions we have. And so to dig into this, the general theme of this is what the phrase getting out of the weeds or getting out of the day-to-day or getting out of the business really means for an agency owner. Because I'm worried from what I saw in those two posts is that people go too far. They either go too far one way, which is they're on a beach 11 months in the year, or like they think that's what this means, and that they, drink wine and stuff every day and never really work. And then the other extreme is that they never get out of the day-to-day because they think they have to be in the agency for it to thrive. I think both are off. Like both are not what it's about. The only catch I'd add before I go any further is that for me, it all comes back to what you want. This is why I ask this question. I say to agency owners, what do you want? Like, what do you really want for yourself and for your business? Because if you've been running an agency for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and it's going well, it's profitable, maybe, probably is, you'd be paying yourself what you want, you've got a team, blah, 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 you've kind of earned the right to be like, all right, well, I've done that now for a period of time, what do I want this to become in the next, say, 5 to 10 years? That, to me, is the question. It's not what you think you should be doing with your time or what someone else chooses to do with their time. So in the first example of the person that's running the agency that I saw a post about, their view is that the reason it's got to where it is ultimately that they are still in the thick of it. They are checking the finer details week to week, day to day. I read it and I heard what they said, and I know exactly what they mean, but it's not going to be perceived in the way that they think it is my point. So what I love about what they said was that, and I agree with this, you can't just completely extract yourself from the business and expect it to function optimally. So when I was with an agency previously, one of the things the founder said to me that I completely agreed with was that if he's not in the business at all, the business will probably be fine, or the business will be fine. It might grow, but it probably won't grow at the pace or in the way in which he might want it to, or at the speed it could grow at. Completely true. I completely agree with that. Because to me, the founder is the key player, right? So again, if you think of a sports team, think of the best team you've ever seen play sport. So for me, that might be, let's think of the Barcelona team that Lionel Messi played in. If you take Lionel Messi out of that Barcelona team, how do they do? I'd say they're probably still a really, really good team. But are they the team that we remember as being one of the greatest teams of all time? No, They're not. Why? Because you took probably one of the best players of all time out of the team, arguably the best player. So if you take a founder out of a business, what is going to happen? It's not going to do as well. Doesn't matter what you put in place, it probably will not do as well. And if you can set up a system and get the right people in that enables it to do better or do as well, that's incredible work. I mean, that is so hard. Like, that is so tough. So when I work with people, I say, look, if you come out of the business in one area, we can probably get someone in who's maybe better at you at sales, for example, or better than you at client management, or better than you at HR. But you've set up a business probably doing something that you're exceptionally good at, right? So if you stop doing that thing, the chances are the quality is going to decline at least a percentage. To the point of the second founder I saw the post from, their view was the opposite, which is that getting out of the weeds is mission critical. If I don't get out of the weeds, I can't grow the business. And, you know, I think when I compare these two posts, that's now going too far the other way. I think they're forgetting or being complacent about how much work has to go in to creating a business that they can take themselves completely out of. If I work with someone whose ambition is to come out of their agency entirely, either be that through an exit eventually or through just passing the reins over entirely to someone else, I'd just be very honest about it and say, like, that's going to take quite a lot of time, because it is. That's not a 1 to 2 year thing. I'm sure if you needed it to be a 1 to 2 year thing, you could do it. It's more like a 2, 3, 4 year thing. So, and again, I'm just very conscious of being honest and upfront about what that business looks like without them, because the probability is that without them in it in some capacity, it's going to be very different, right? So what's my point with all this? So what I really want to do is be very clear on what I think getting a founder out of the weeds and out of the day-to-day means, and then the importance of doing it in the right way. Because what it isn't is the extremes. It's not just kind of drop everything and very quickly get yourself out so that you can go away 11 months in the year and expect everything to be thriving. What it also isn't is keeping the founder locked into day-to-day processes or being in the thick of it too much, because then again, probably the business isn't operating optimally, and probably they're going to be a blocker for things, which I've seen happen. So it's somewhere in between. But again, if I just even go even broader for a second, to me, this varies, how you do this varies from agency to agency or business to business, because it is so up to the founder how they want to do it. So let's make up a scenario. Founder of an agency, doing it 5 years, has a team of 10. The business is profitable. It is their ambition to spend the next 5 years building the agency. They do not want to be doing what they're currently doing, which is heavy on the client side still. So they look after all the key accounts, and as a consequence, they're very busy, which means they really don't spend very much time growing the business. So the business grows through referral, largely because they're involved in all the client accounts. They have people supporting them on execution, but as the founder steps out of the business, things freeze, things stall, work isn't done as well, and generally speaking, the business loses its leader, and there only is one of them, and it's a team of 10. That is a very common scenario. The question I'd ask the founder is, okay, if you want a business that's going to grow to a certain size in the next 5 years, you're going to be the one that has to grow it. And in order for you to grow it, you have to get out of what you're currently doing. So here's how we're going to do that. At the same time, we do not want that founder's impact or quality of work to be lost with the clients in particular, because the clients are probably the most important thing in your agency. So how do we do it? Well, I mean, first of all, you need to get an actual human in to gradually come into their role on the client front. You gradually need to have clients come round to this idea that the founder is not the go-to person. You gradually need the systems to be built so that the founder can definitely step out of the more micro day-to-day things while maintaining the quality. And you also need then to create like a new role for the founder, which again takes time. But my point here is that all this that is just one example. I've put up 2 fingers, so that's one example. I could create another 150 scenarios that are different. My point is just that I saw 2 posts yesterday that were saying very different things about this topic, and what's so interesting to me is that they're trying to be too generic. Like this is not a one size fits all. I have a tremendous amount of respect and appreciation for the founder that stays in their business and also grows it, but they're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, I'd assume. And if they're not, again, even more fair play to them. But I'm going to have to imagine that they've done other things to get other key people into the business to help them, and done that very well. That is just a very, very, very grueling way to go about running a business. And by all means, it looks like they're building a huge business. And if that's your ambition, you probably have to do that. If your ambition is to build a decent sized business that for you personally allows you to generate the wealth or the money that you maybe want, so to speak, then you don't have to go down the route of building a 150 person agency. You could build a 10 or 20 person agency and very much achieve that. But that's a very different journey. So, anyway, what a ramble, you know. I'm passionate about this honestly because it is important. And again, I feel like I was part of an agency where we did this at times really well, and at times, you know, we could have done it better. You know, I think broadly, did I help the founder get into a position that he preferred? Yes. Specifically, were there ways in which the business could have functioned better if that founder had been more involved in certain areas? On reflection, yes. But it's so hard to know until you can look at it from almost a bird's eye view, or take 20 steps back and look at the business, like I'm now able to do. But I think, again, it all comes back to really, what does that agency owner or founder want? And that's why when I read the LinkedIn post like I did yesterday, it makes me nervous, because I think owners will read something like that. And look, it's up to them not to do this, but it isn't just this case of, yeah, that's the way to do it and that's the only way that works. So yeah, what am I going to write about in LinkedIn? I think I'm just going to allude to what I've just done now, which is that there's multiple ways to go about this. It all comes back to what works for the founder, and what your ambitions are. But anyway, yeah, it's an interesting topic, and as I say, it's one of the main things that I spend time working with people on. So, and I don't want to be too dramatic about it, but if the founder themselves isn't set up and operating in the right place, it is very tough to get the rest of the agency sorted. I mean, you're always going to have the burden or the weight of a founder not being in the right place, and that is a real hindrance to a company, in particular an agency. So yeah, it's an important topic, and it's one that just takes, I think probably the hard part about it in general is that it just takes so much time. Like, you just can't rush this. There's a lot to it. It takes time because even if you bring an exceptional hire into the business, even they need time to settle in. Even they need time to get up to speed with accounts. Even they need time to really be part of the company. If you think about recruitment in the sense of from the moment you hire them, you still need another 6 months to really decide and make sure they're the right person. So, we're talking, for every fantastic hire, there's like a 6 to 12 month then lead time to get them up to speed properly and have them operating as a core part of the business. So it's you need time, probably need patience, and you need clarity on what you want as a founder. And there are loads of great examples of agencies that do this in different ways, but have done it really well. Getting the founder out of the weeds enough, or getting the founder out of the weeds entirely, that enables them to do what they need to do to get their agency to where they want it to be. And that's in essence what I do with people. And then we get into the finer details, so like the components of the business, or the parts of the company that are maybe weaker than ours, or the parts of the business that are like doing really well but just need to be optimized, etc. So anyway, that's the big stuff of the day. So I'm gonna jump off now. It feels speedy. I don't know how long this is, but jump off now. A couple of client sessions, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Do some prep for tomorrow, because tomorrow, as I say, I'm away all day, so we'll see how we get on video content wise there. And yeah, let's see what I produce off the back of this. Not sure. Anyway, speak soon.